Hey everybody, what's up? Do you like happiness and sunbeams and cute little puppy dogs? Are these the things you've seen with your heart? If they're not, you haven't seen this movie and you don't know what I'm talking about. You need a slice of happiness pie, I think. I'm going to be talking about, and I'm going to be covering up the other side because I don't give a rat's behind about the movie. Yeah, I know it's probably classic, but oh well. Talking about Kids in the Hall, Brain Candy. By the way, the other movie is Back to the Beach, but who cares? It's Brain Candy. Originally, yes, I do actually own Brain Candy on VHS. I still have my original VHS copy. The reason I love this movie so much is it is typical Kids in the Hall. I'm sorry, that song. I'm not kidding you. It is actually a song. There's a song in there. Yes, I used the lyrics as a question, but I don't care. I'm probably gonna get flagged for this. I know, but seriously. I've seen worse. So yes, Happiness Pie is actually a song in the movie. The whole movie is based off of an idea that a scientist by the name of Chris Cooper, who's working for a company called Roritor, Roritor, is because of the suicide of his father. And actually, I'm going to say this. Suicide is not funny, but in this case, this actually had me laughing so hard I almost pissed my pants. That is the true statement. That is very funny. It is very typical Kids in the Hall humor. Suicide is not funny, however, in real life, because the end result is not funny. It is actually a temporary solution to a long-term problem. Please do not commit suicide. At this channel, this is the time where we put in a legal disclaimer that myself or any of my employees, mainly the guard cat, do not wish for anyone to commit suicide in any capacity. So just to let you know, if you have any problems, please seek out counseling and do talk to a licensed therapist or the suicide hotline. With that being said, it is the funniest thing. It's one of those funny points in movies, like when you watch Napoleon Dynamite and the cow gets shot. The bustle, you just go look it up. Go look it up. Napoleon Dynamite, cow being shot. Look it up. There are some spoilers in this video if I didn't mention it, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so yes, there are going to be a few spoilers. I'm not making a spoiler-free one. Why? Because I don't care. In a sense, the movie really focuses around all the different characters the kids play. There are a few characters that people may recognize, such as the two idiot cops. Trying to think, Fellini, the guy who's like big fat guy who's always in a towel, he's in there as well. Basically, the whole thing is Don Roritor, who is the head of the company, basically finds out that his company is in dire peril of closing down. They need something new, and so Chris, being the head of his lab, gets pulled up to the boardroom, and he basically starts talking about the drug, but he's not finished. One of the patients who they actually do discuss is Mrs. Hurticure, who is played by Scott Thompson. By the way, I really love the Kids in the Hall, but the two main ones I love are Dave Foley and Scott Thompson. I think they are top performers. Bruce McCullough is another favorite. Kevin McDonald, who plays Chris Cooper, is also funny. Mark McKinney, he's not, I don't know what it is about some of his roles that I just can't get into very well. I don't know what it is. He does do some funny stuff. He's very funny as the judge in Death Comes to Town, but that's another deal that I talked about. So back to the show. Bruce McCullough does play Alice. If you'll notice, Kids in the Hall, Whitest Kids You Know, Monty Python, all three do play both male and female parts. Alice is basically a fellow scientist who loves Chris, and throughout his fame, they have their ups and downs. And it's actually when they find out that Gleeman is a very popular drug they got drinking. You find about Chris's father's suicide. There is a character in the movie. He's a cab driver who kind of narrates the whole thing. He talks about the problem the drug Gleeman has caused. Unfortunately, yeah, it really causes some problems. Um, One of the funniest things that I actually have found at this is Brandon Fraser, who we all know from a lot of different films, especially the biggest one being the Mummy series. Actually has a cameo in the movie as one of the test subjects. It cracked me up seeing him in there. Um, but the whole thing is they're trying to figure out, how they're going. Sorry, I get distracted here. Um, I hate when that happens. But anyway, they're trying to figure out how the best way to make the drug work. Well, it becomes too popular. Everybody starts taking it. Guess what happens? You pretty much have a problem. Be right. Sorry about that. So yes, they do find out later on that the drug has a very negative impact. And the end result is that they need to figure out how to reverse the effect. The cab driver is one of the funniest characters in the entire movie. The reason being is that a lot of the stuff that he talks about, like the drug is made with monkey cum. They make the monkeys. You get the gist. Yeah. So it is kind of classic. There are a couple characters in the movie I don't like. Like I said, the character Don, I'm not a big fan of his. Um, Alice, the way she's portrayed, Rich McCullough has always done a great job of portraying women, but at the same time, Alice gets on my nerves. Um, Essentially, I don't know what it is about the character. I just can't stand her. She's like too clingy almost. And in one scene, Chris basically has these women over, and she flees. Like, "Ah!" But another funny movie, actually, this is one of my favorite quotes, is Wally Trzynski. It's played by Scott Thompson. Once again, he he basically goes to see a therapist played by Dave Foley, and talking about the fact that he doesn't understand why everybody thinks he's gay. And I do love the fact that this is kind of one of those subjects because of the fact that I should mention Thompson in real life is gay. But it's kind of funny because the line Dave Foley uses is, "You're gay. I know it. Your family knows it. Dogs know it." And so while he gives Wally the drug, and so what ends up happening is Wally comes to the conclusion, guess what? I'm gay. And they do a whole song and dance number based off of it. Yes, it is one of the fun, to me, it's one of the funnier moments in the movie, I'm sorry, because that whole discussion with the therapist, it makes me laugh. It really does, because he can make fun of himself, and that's what I love about Scott Thompson. He can make fun of himself and still have fun doing it. It's a really great thing. It's not, bad humor. It is being upfront. One of the other characters that I have a problem with is a character by the name of Grievo, played by McCullough. He plays... Now, the McCullough character that I love most in this movie is he plays one of the cops. I love when he does the cop deal. There's something about, it's not necessarily the character, it's more about what ends up happening. Grievo goes, he's very depressed, he always talks about drugs and that, and what ends up happening is one day he's bashing Gleeman X, and then he comes in, and he's like, "I want to talk to you about drugs," and he goes, "I took this drug," and he hands somebody a guitar and he starts playing da 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 da. That. I'm not going to sing the song. He sings Happiness. He starts going to Happiness Pie. From there, it leads into the video that he records. They don't talk about why he decides to go on the drug. I'm sorry. I want to know that. Why does Grievo go on this drug that he's bashing that's supposed to make you happy when he seems depressed. Honestly, it makes no sense. So, anyways, yeah, sorry, I'm having to break this up into chunks. There's stuff I'm laughing my butt off about, and I have to stop, stop, everything. Um, so, yeah, Lord. Now, I gotta give props to Dave Foley, because here's why. The way he plays his character, Marv. Marv is Don's assistant, and Don tries his best to please. I'm sorry, Marv tries his best to please Don, but he never seems to be able to. Here's the thing about Gleeman X. Here's the point that I love. Gleeman X actually will lock you into your happiest memory. For Mrs. Hurticure, for example, it's her son coming over for Christmas. Even though it's not the longest of his, it's only a couple of minutes. To her, that's her happiest memory. For Wally, it's his time in the army where it was a little gay? But once again, that's part of the humor. Keep in mind, this is a movie where you have to have a little bit of an open mind. There is actually nothing being shown, but it's more being discussed and implied. And for Marv, I'm not going to tell you what Marv's happiest memory is. I'll tell you this right now. If you want to see, the best thing to do is to watch this movie. There's actually a scene where, Chris goes looking for Mrs. Hurticure to check up on her because he's seeing what's happening with the drug. And finding out that it's actually putting people in a coma state. And he finds Mrs. Hurticure, and I think it's maybe it's before. He goes to check on her, and he finds her standing there like holding something. And these kids are looking up on her dress. They're like, "Hey, you guys, get away from that old lady!" I think that's when he discovers the coma, but I think they already know. And the end of the movie kind of has a double meaning to it. It's not, basically there's like two, and it's done with the cab driver talking about how people treat the Gleeman X patients, and Mrs. Hurticure's grandson, they talk about him a little bit. One of her, in order to fix her, they have to basically make her sad. Because the movie does make a point. Everybody gets depressed. You're supposed to be depressed. You cannot cure depression. We're supposed to be depressed and stressed about stuff. And understand severe depression can impact you, and you should seek help. But in the end, the movie does make a point that all these drugs that are on the market aren't going to make everybody happy. They're not going to cure everything. If we were all happy, the world wouldn't be a better place, because there'd always be something different. That's what the movie proves. Even with your happiest memory, you're still not happy. If you're locked inside that moment forever, you have nothing. And I think that's kind of what the movie's saying. I may be interpreting it wrong. But yeah, and I'm sorry for swiveling. I know a lot of people don't like me laying down. I'm trying to sit up, but it kind of helps my back, But yeah, that's really what I came away with this movie, is just that happiness cannot be truly found. Happiness is something that you can have, but you can't have 100% of the time. The ending of the movie was poignant, is also very funny, because you see what makes Mrs. Hurticure sad. I'm trying to think of anything else from this movie that I could probably come away with. I think one of the things is McCullough does play a character by the name of Cancer Boy, and I've heard that there's some people who have not reacted very well to his playing that in the movie, but it happens. It's one of those things. Actually, hold on. There is another character of his that he does play. I'm going to try to see. Can't find it. But one of the things is, like, I think he plays it. There's always this short guy and his girlfriend who are always having an argument. He's like, "I love you, baby." That type of thing. And they're like in the beginning of the movie. Yeah, Death Comes to Town was really kind of a different thing because it was a TV show. with Brain Candy, while it's a movie, it does have a lot of that feel. Um, and I don't object to them playing women. I never have, and the reason being is I know in England for a long time, men, well, young boys actually used to play the female roles. The women weren't allowed to be actors at the time, I guess. But if you really want something funny, do check out Brain Candy. You're probably going to find this edition more than the regular edition because I know that to get just Brain Candy by itself is kind of expensive. This was on the cheap side. If you don't watch the second movie, hey, whatever. When I open up the case, the thing that's always staring me in the face is Brain Candy. So yeah, go check it out. I don't know if Netflix or any other source has it. I don't know if it's on Netflix. But Happiness Pie actually did get made into a full song. One other thing, before I forget. One of the reasons I love Kids in the Hall is not only their humor, but there's something else to them. They always poke fun at life, and in a way, a lot of the troops like Monty Python, them, Kids, and Whitest Kids You Know, there's always something to the humor that you don't quite catch and takes a couple viewings. This movie really is full of a lot of stuff that you may miss the first time, but a couple times later you may start going through it and really catching it. That's what I have to recommend with this movie because you're not going to get it the first time. Unless you've seen it before and you understand the movie fully, I'm not saying people are stupid. Trust me. It took me three times watching this thing before I caught a lot of the stuff going on. The opening is actually full of like just random stuff that makes no sense. But yeah, check it out. It's worth watching. I highly recommend it, and I'm going to be posting this soon, probably in a couple days after the CD review that I did. I don't want to clog up too much, but that is it, guys. I'm going to be working on getting this video edited down a little bit. That's it. Take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Watch Brain Candy.